In this video, we're going to look at how to find the domain of f of x is equal to the square root of negative 3x minus 4 with a plus 2 on the outside. So when we're worried about domain at this point in this course, the two things we need to worry about are denominators with a variable. That would be somewhere that we would look for having a 0 end up in the denominator, which would be undefined. And the other thing we want to look out for is a negative number under a square root, because that would not be a real number anymore. It would be an imaginary number or complex number. And so what we need to do in this case is, since we have a square root and there's a variable underneath that square root, we need to put whatever is under the square root to where it is bigger than or equal to 0. Because we have three options: either you're greater than 0, positive, equal to 0, or less than 0, negative. And we don't want to have any negative numbers under that square root, so we're going to set what is underneath the radical to be bigger than or equal to 0. In other words, all of the other options. The plus 2 on the outside doesn't make any difference, and we don't have any other things to worry about because we don't have any other radicals or any denominators with variables. So we can proceed by just setting negative 3x minus 4 to be bigger than or equal to 0. So again, just forget everything else. It doesn't matter. Just put what's under that radical, bigger than or equal to 0, and then isolate the variable on one side of the inequality. So to do that, the first step is to add 4 to both sides. And so that's going to leave us with negative 3x on the left-hand side, bigger than or equal to 4. And so now we need to divide both sides by negative 3. So here's where you have to remember that special trick where when you're dealing with inequalities, if you divide or multiply both sides by a negative number, then you have to switch the sign of the inequality. So instead of greater than or equal to, it's now x is less than or equal to negative 4 over 3. And so that's our solution in terms of inequalities. But typically what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to translate this into interval notation. And so ask yourself what it's saying. It's saying x is less than or equal to negative 4 over 3. So we want all numbers on a number line to the left of negative 4 over 3. So that would include everything from negative infinity all the way to negative 4 over 3. And now we need to assign a parenthesis or a bracket. The first thing to note is that you always put a parenthesis around an infinity or a negative infinity, so that one's easy. The second thing to note is we're talking about x being less than or equal to. And since we have that equal to bar, that's going to lead us to be putting a bracket around the negative 4 over 3. And so our solution set in interval notation is all the numbers from negative infinity to negative 4 over 3, including negative 4 over 3. And that's your answer.